Welcome back to Read the Tape. I'm Mike Shapiro. My next guest I've known for 10 years. I can't believe it. It seems like yesterday. But Rocky Russo, he is a really interesting individual, and he is going to talk about, I hate saying alternate, but alternate from the perspective of the constructs that we all believe in, like, I want to make all this money, and these are the ways to do it. He wants to make you healthy in an integrative way. He wants to really bring everything together: fitness, your mental health, your needs, your wants, what are your dreams, and he wants you to be a very happy person. So I think Rocky's a really important in everyone's life, and I think that you'll really enjoy what he has to say, and perhaps it'll inspire you to get a little bit of Rocky and to really find ultimate happiness, or as I would say, I gave him this, okay, his inner truth. So enjoy. Welcome to Read the Tape. I've got Rocky Russo here. He's one of my favorite people. It seems like everyone I say that about, but I do love Rocky. He is great. He's going to talk about being successful in a different way. We're going to talk about his journey and how he helps all sorts of people in lots of different walks of life. So welcome, Rocky. Welcome to Read the Tape.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me here.
So let's talk about what are you doing right now? You're living in two places and you're having fun with that.
Yeah, I think that we were meant to be more migrational beings.
Okay.
So a while back, I built a home in Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. You built it yourself.
I did wood shop twice and built some skate ramps growing up.
There you go.
So I can't take full credit for the build.
We'll have to talk to your shop teacher, in other words.
Yeah.
Like in high school.
I think he
like,
got fired,
what
but you know what? We successfully built it. It doesn't leak, and it rains a lot in Hilo. So,
right.
It's a glorified birdhouse. It's a tiny home.
That's great. Well, that's the trend. So
it's great, and it keeps me honest. It keeps me grounded. My businesses are all online for the most part, so I kind of leave it up to my nervous system to tell me it's time to go back, get your hands in the dirt, commune with real people again rather than over just the screens. But yeah, I spend more time there in the winter to escape the harsh Southern California cold.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is really harsh in the winter here. It's like
bad.
Horrible. It's like 65 degrees.
You have to do like two flannels sometimes.
Like really, yeah. You need to have like a down coat on, puffy coat. Which, by the way, I look my best in a puffy coat. I don't know why that is. If there's down baffles, it's my best look.
That's debatable, Mike. But anyways, yeah. But this is I'm happily here. I love
Good.
California. I love hanging out with you. So
thank you.
Excited for this. Yeah.
So I want to talk about your journey. I want to talk about where you were at. I've known you for a long time, and I've known you you were actually in fitness where you were almost a bodybuilder, into where you've taken this into a wholly different world and in integrative health. So let's talk about the beginning of Rocky. What happened at the beginning?
Well, I was born 7 pounds. But the time you met me about a decade ago now,
sure.
I think I was the youngest, highest paid person in a big fitness gym, with fitness still in my title. Right? So I was running all of the personal trainers in Newport Beach at the time, and I had just transferred from Oahu. I was doing the same thing out there. Right around the time that you came barging into that gym and demanding to only work with the guy in charge of all the trainers, which was me.
Oh, that was hilarious. I forgot that. That's good.
It was good.
How different? It's still the same. Who's in charge?
Not a whole lot has changed, but yeah.
Oh, that's right. You were like, I can't do that. I'm like, it's not going to work.
Yeah, you tried to here, just take this, take the $100 bills under the table. I said, it doesn't really work that way, but we'll sign you up for whatever we can. And
that was great.
I think I had my best month that year because of it, so thanks. But I left soon thereafter. I think I left in April of 2014 and started my journey. I called it my 4-year monkship, of really just kind of divorcing myself from everything that I was told would make me happy. I was 20, what would that be, 25, 26 at the time?
Okay.
Yeah. And started just unlearning a lot of just the all those things. I was engaged to be married at the time, beautiful girl, and but I wasn't happy. It took a hard look in the mirror to realize this really wasn't the life for me. So
So you had an early epiphany.
Call it that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were in a box that you didn't like,
Yeah.
but you did construct your own box.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. But we only know what we know until we know something else.
Sure, that's true.
And I think special people come along the way, like you, to help rattle the cage a little bit and help you realize that, I'm in a cage. I maybe built the cage, but it's become pretty comfortable. But once you break out of it, you're kind of like, wow, what is all this freedom? So for about 4 years, I wouldn't date anybody. If they use the word date, I'd kind of throw up the deuces and say I'm out. I say I quit my job, quit my wife, and moved to Costa Rica.
Oh, you did? I didn't even know that.
I didn't move full. I was there for about a month and just a surf trip with a couple friends, and I stayed a little while longer and found my feet, found myself, and not fully. I started trying to find myself at least.
Okay.
I'm still looking. So
All right.
yeah,
I like that.
But about 4 years of building business at the time, which was just what I knew, personal training. Built my first company name, which was Formula Fit. And then it evolved from there. Elevated being was next. I wanted to cross the bridge between fitness and wellness. I saw this big gap in the fitness world where I was doing a lot more yoga and breath work and meditation, and there really wasn't a whole lot of that in the quote-unquote wellness space of fitness that I was seeing. So that's kind of been the journey since then, and obviously it's evolved, which I'm sure we'll get into a little bit. But over those 4 years, it was a lot of trying to find what was authentic to me as someone who cared immensely about fitness, and I always try to stay in great shape. But I didn't want it to be a facade. I didn't want to just be a shell without anything on the inside. The soul was more important to me than the body, and I think that people forget that.
So you're like an integrative health advisor. I mean, for lack of a description, like you talk about all the things in your journey, and you talk about, wanting to. And I hate the term alternate space because I think it creates what people think is different, not necessarily different, but you're in an alternate space of you're not. You don't want to be the constructs of these guardrails of like, I'm a personal trainer. What does that mean? Or I'm this or I'm that. Like you think of it as like a holistic approach, and the modalities associated with being one with yourself or being at peace or loving every day are the things that you pursue. And of course, you have all the tradition. You have a master's in integrative. I mean, you're a highly educated individual. So you have done all of the things associated with, being that successful person within the framework of, what of those constructs are. But you've found a lot of success in grounding people or bringing people out of certain realities so they can find to be better whatever they want to be is a better way to describe it. Like you do these yoga retreats, or you make people like breathing exercise. You make people stop. You make people stop and listen to what's around them, or you make people stop and enjoy just the breeze, or wow, amazing this is in Hawaii, or that's what you're fantastic at.
Thanks,
and that's where you're making your living now, right?
Yeah. You know me better than myself sometimes, and I think
know about
that's
that.
yeah, no, but
I just defined it just so you did.
but you're a great mirror, Mike, and it's a testament to you as well. But so much of whatever we're doing, it's going to change. Like it takes different shapes.
Sure.
You're building a business, it might change, it might grow, it'll evolve, you're in a marriage, it's going to change, it's going to grow. But what won't is the person behind it. They would, they should, but like if you're mission driven, and to me, if we come back to, well, why am I doing all of this? Why am I dating that person? Why did I get into this marriage? Why did I start this business? Then we can last and we can remain real. But I don't think enough people personally take the time to do you don't need to do a 4-year monkship and go to Puerto Rico and Bali and all these places. That's not necessary, nor do you have the time for a lot of people to go do that. You might have kids and other commitments or whatever, right?
Sure.
So how can we do that inner work so that we can show up for life in the way that it's meant to be in its most intimate fullness?
So, I always talk about this inner genius, but you're really pursuing the inner truth. So to you, your inner genius or what you want to provide for everybody else as a coach, as a mentor, as a integrative health professional, as trying to get people to wherever they want to go. Like, what's that inner truth? Like, who are you? What's that truth? Because you find that, I mean, it's an overused term, sets you free and the road to a significantly happier life. Is that be something, am I being accurate?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. But until we've done, and if it's not in the form of words, like I use the term life blueprint with all of my clients, and it's, discovering your personal core values, life mission, life vision. And we call it building your ship because it's like the compass, the rudder, the crew, and the wind in your sails, And once you have that, then it's, to me, like, whether it's that or something, it doesn't matter. A picture that you can, whatever it is for you, do the work to discover what that is so that you can show up each day with authenticity. When things get hard, you know that there's something true. I say that for religious folk, it's easy. They got this book, and they're going to tell them that's what's real. I got these commandments or this whatever, and nothing against that whatsoever. But if you don't have that, if you don't have this set of guidelines to fall back on and guide you, then you're just a fart in the wind.
Okay, so like, take us through this because this is interesting to me. So you have a client, they're not discovered their inner truth. I don't mean to give you a brand, but let's run with this.
Yeah,
This is a
I like
good
it.
brand.
Yeah,
I like
it's
this
good.
thing. Of course,
Inner
I
truth.
said it, so I like it. Right? So I want to discover your inner truth. So what do you do? Are you listening up front? Are you watching? Are you observing? Are you having them in a yoga retreat? Do you take them out of their environment? What do you do? Like, how do you figure that out?
Generally, in more of the life coaching space that I'll talk to is I spend a lot of time listening.
Okay.
I say that if I'm doing my job the right way, I'm in the backseat getting no credit. Because I'm asking the right questions to help them come up with the answers themselves. And that's when the epiphanies come, right? There's the light bulb moments or the come to Jesus moments, right? But those are the ones that shape us and define us. And you think of the movie Inception, right? Like they had to go into your dream and then the dream within the dream so that they could have this bright idea that he might change his life for, right? But it's those types of moments that you'll change the whole course of your life. But to me, we may get that, we may get those nuggets, or we may not. But the real work is in the work. Like that, to me, if we're signing up for that, at least we know it's worth it. We're gonna pursue it. So
explain that in a better. I mean, not to say a better way. That sounds terrible.
Say it in a better way.
I don't mean it to sound. I'm not trying to be.
No, that's okay.
Just be constructive. I don't want to be constructive. So I just want you to explain this. Like, the work is in the work. So in other words, I need a more definition. The work's in the work. Mean you're committed to doing the work. So the work is, in fact, you're committed to being better. You're committed to being happy. You're committed to. Is that what you're trying to say?
So I do a whole lesson on. I call it my body, my best friend, and we also call it. Can I cuss on the show or not?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want. Yeah, as long as you don't insult me.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
We call it in-house. We call it hashtag self-care.
Okay.
Because I see all of the different people who are, and nothing against them, but like self-care. I made it to happy hour again. You
Sure.
guys have seen. And it's like hashtag self-care. It's like, come on, like let's go through these phases of actually uncovering. Like phase one, we have to ask ourselves: is there a better way? And if we decided that there is, then the work begins. But we help make a roadmap for that. So there's a process of unlearning. There's a process of like the self-awareness to recognize that, holy shit, I've been doing it this way this whole time thinking that it maybe served me, and it doesn't. We get to the point then where it's like telling a new story. And then the big leap, coming from the fishbowl into the ocean, right? But this all happens in talk as well as movement. In whole fitness, it's holistic fitness. It's the full gamut. So whether it's mindset, mindfulness coaching, or a lot of times for my clients, it was like your assignment this week is to take yourself on a mini retreat. Let your inner child go be the guide. What would you have wanted to do today if you were like 6? Maybe go read a book by the lake. Oh, well, let's go do that and see what comes up.
I'm thinking about it right now.
Yeah.
This is an awesome question.
What do you want to do?
Probably go to a fast food restaurant.
Yeah, probably.
Clearly, this would not be healthy. Like, where would you want to go? Go to McDonald's?
But you could go a layer deeper and deeper. Well,
Right,
what
right.
brings? Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it was the Happy Meal, maybe I
Right.
get the toy. Or, who knows? But to me, that's like. But then you can move into a like a self-like, and then a self-love, and then you move into self-care, which is maintenance.
Sure.
Because you develop those tools, and a lot of those tools are, getting to the gym or journaling or having a mindfulness practice, hanging out with a positive community that uplifts you, having mentors, whatever that is, right? So,
Sure. Well, I mean, Rocky, I've known you for a long time, and I think I think that your inner truth or your inner genius is your capability of listening to people, being incredibly empathetic, your ability to see things sometimes from an integrative health management, like, hey, try this modality with fitness or try this in terms, helping people center themselves. I've seen you do this to lots of people. It's been very positive. That is your inner genius. That is your capability. I mean, it's come from somebody who's been always a fit person or an athlete and just modifying it. Like, hey, as you said earlier, this just is like a shell. Like, so what? I look fit. Like, I want more. I want my entire emotional being fit. I want my brain to be fit. I want my relationships to be fit. I want all of these things to be fit. So it's kind of like where you come from. So it's great that you have that skill set. So the business is called what now that you're coaching and trying to have this sort of integrative health management. So you're healthy all around.
yeah, that's whole fitness.
Whole fitness.
Whole
Okay.
fitness, yeah. And then we help entrepreneurs and busy people, busy
Sure.
individuals,
Right.
build durable bodies and resilient minds.
Right. I like that.
So that
That's
they
good.
can run the businesses worth owning.
Okay.
Right?
I like it.
And the business might be run the family. For a lot of our parents in there, it's like that's a full-time job.
Well, I mean, it's interesting, that sounds silly, but, family pressures sometimes overwhelm any other business pressures, or overwhelm,
Right.
other social pressures. I mean, so, managing that. And then, of course, people give up that fitness side or the centering side, whether it be yoga or meditation or whatever, because they're focused on all these. So you try to center them if they're having issues there, try to get, so they can come up with a better solution, so they can be positive, so they can move past whatever those issues are.
100%.
So that's great.
Yeah.
I
I
love
mean,
it.
as above, so below, as within, so without. So whatever you're building, whatever you're doing out there, we can let the brain take over and try to do it better and figure it out and do the numbers and all this. But so often, what we need is just to get a little space from it, to take some deep breaths, to remember that we're still just humans on this 100-year vacation called life.
Sure.
And
It's great because, I have a lot of, the show's about being an entrepreneur, and the show's about, helping people or coaching people or, telling their stories or having, finding their inner genius. And so, I think that like people overlook some of this, that processing is like important, that element to what you're trying to do, of looking at that part in order to even better or even find your energies or even better at that. So I really like it.
Thanks,
So,
Mike. Yeah.
so you would like to ask me questions like with your existing business, since
I
I,
would
love
love to.
doing that because I guess you've
We've-
mentored me, I've mentored you. It's like a mutual mentorship. So
No, I've learned a lot from you, Mike.
I
but,
appreciate it. I've learned a lot from you too.
I
So.
thanks. But
Although I'm not really flexible, I keep trying the yoga. But anyway.
we haven't had a coaching
Yeah,
session
there
in
you
a
go.
while, man. I don't know. You're hanging out in LA too much, or I'm in Hawaii too much.
There you
so.
go.
I'm curious. I render. So Whole Fitness is one of the companies, and then as we do more of we've had some success in building businesses online, which is it's its own thing. It's a beast to join the online space and try to let your personal brand do build a business. So we run Health CEO Academy as well, and I've found doing coaching a lot of coaches how to build their business online. I end up doing so much of the life coaching, right? And I'm curious to know from your perspective, when you meet all kinds of people, and
Sure.
you talk to everybody.
That's a great part of life. Just talk to everybody.
It is.
I always say, what do I always say to you? Take every call,
Yeah.
take every meeting.
Take every
Because
meeting.
you never
Yeah.
know what's around the corner. You never know what you're going to learn or experience, or it's awesome. 'Cause
100%.
humanity's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. There's some crazy cool people out there, and for the people who are maybe listening, thinking, well, I have this cool niche. Like I think of so many yogis, or even like Reiki healers or massage therapists, that it's like they have real gifts, and they want to reach a bigger audience. They want to turn their gifts into something that they can feed their family with, grow or scale. What's a piece of advice you have for them who maybe don't know the ins and outs of the business world, but yet they know that they have a gift?
So in other words, you're asking, how do you monetize the gifts that one has when it's not necessarily within the framework of the original, as we've said earlier, constructs of what society says you should do?
Right. Like, am
So
I
you're
just going to
asking-
give more Reiki, or am I just going to,
Right.
try to pack a bigger class in yoga? Or what would you say to them? if
Well,
they're
I
trying to
mean, I
scale?
just recently had a podcast where someone was talking about community, and I think this is something that you actually create for yourself. So I think it's really monetization is like you're in a community of like-minded people, or people who want those modalities, or they're seeking out your advice, or they're seeking out your guidance of these alternate capabilities, or health is not just lifting weights, or health is not just being on your Peloton. Health is all of these things. So you're creating a community. So I would say, as this earlier podcast, we're talking about this, like, since you're so good at that, since so many people love to follow you, since you make all these friends, and since you're a person that, you'll travel to wherever you said Costa Rica or wherever, suddenly you'll have like 100 friends and everyone's in a community, and like you're doing all this, or you've led yoga retreats and you've had 25 or 50 people follow you all over the world to so I would say that is the monetization value, because people are willing to pay for that guidance, that relationship, that sense of community. So those monetizations are like, create your community. Which, so to borrow from the previous podcast, I say that's it, because people follow that. They want that. They want that thing. So it's really about broadcasting that. So it comes to another part of this is like, how do you market that? Like, who are you to market? How do you market? Well, you really, you clearly don't like social media because you think it's destructive, because you think it's really a shell. You're not seeing the three-dimensional person. I'm putting words in your mouth. I don't want to. Is that accurate?
I like social media.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, just like anything, you can get a lot of crap within the gold,
Sure.
But it serves a purpose. I don't steer away from it by any means. I rely on it.
So marketing is like since you already know what you like to do, and you already know all these people that you would even advise in the framework of this alternate, which I hate using that term, but this sort of alternate, so that you can get to a better place, which probably everyone needs. So it's like really a marketing problem, because people will follow you or these people that you coach. Like, how do they create those senses of community? So what avenue do you use? Is it traditional media? Is it social media? Is it, it's probably a mixture of all until you find the right experiment, the right things, so you see it.
Yeah. No, I mean, what I hear most, this is what I hear, because I really prioritize community. And
Okay.
that's what I hear from you is that, right? Like wherever your space is, if you can build it in an authentic way where you can continue growing the community, then they don't care what you're gonna. If you put out a retreat, if you put out a new workshop or a course or whatever
Sure,
it is,
absolutely.
then you've already got people who know, like, and trust you.
Right.
So, cool. That's important.
Yeah, I would say that would be like the way to do this. You're already doing it, or your people you're coaching are already doing it. So maybe like one of the things that you could do is almost like a marketing arm for this space. Maybe one of the things that would be good for you to do, as far as a business is concerned, is how do we market these senses of community? Like, is it on traditional ways, or there's other ways? How can I be creative in that, so that I'm connecting to these people who want these services? And of course, you're charging for those services, and so they're monetizing.
Right.
People want those types of services. They want those experiences. They want enlightenment. They want to feel at peace. I mean, how many people have been so successful? We judge success just by money, which is an unfortunate aspect. I don't. But that's what most people, it seems that way to me. And so, you're saying, well, wait a second, how many people are miserable and they have a bunch of money? They're just miserable. They're walking around like, well, that didn't work. And so like, okay, we'll back up and what are we going to do here? So
Right.
those people as well. And they'll pay enormous, because that's what they have, is they've gotten themselves to having lots of resources from a monetary point. So that's their tool. So it's like just connecting with those people like, okay, well, these are retreats or capability or modalities or your sense of community in terms of creating this health or this integrative health, if that's
Love it.
helpful.
No, absolutely. Because I mean, one of my biggest missions is helping to re-steer the direction of the way that we choose health right now. That our healthcare system's more than a little bit backwards, and it's really going to take getting the healers to the people who need the help. And so there's so much of what I do now, and the more of the B2B coaching and helping other coaches build and scale their business is that with that mission in mind and in heart. And so no, I think that anyone listening that has gone through or is going through a sense of like, I have these gifts. How do I get them to the people who need them? Build your community, build your tribe, find your tribe,
build your community, and then market it.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a missing part of your business right now. How do I market this? Because they're asking you for advice on what to do, and so they already know, because they already have a sense of community. They already have followers. They already have people who want to be around them, or they want these needs. So like, it's really kind of we have a marketing problem, sort of.
I mean, we have the communities, but
Sure.
they can continue to grow and always. But and that's part of the beauty of the retreats and stuff too. Is
Sure.
we get to get people together in person, and then we really get to, it's a little different when you're off screen. But
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, I think, people who, I think that's why vacations are so important, or traveling. I think you get, when you're out of your element, or you're out of your whatever natural habitat you're in, you tend to be more creative. You tend to, your mind tends to break from what you do on a daily basis.
Totally.
And so
Yeah.
I think that, when you do that, travel, which is what you do, and then have that community, and you're also doing things to help in regard to that, I think are really important. So, continuing that practice would be great. So,
100%.
So you have any other questions?
Yeah. So, anyone that I coach, you'll hear often, this is why we start with the life blueprint, is I want to know what's true to you. What is your North Star? Right? And as someone who I've known you for a decade now, you continue to, no matter what you're doing, you remain authentic. You're always Mike Shapiro, So, but
hopefully that's a good thing.
it is a good, and like, so to me, it's like, what has kept you authentic through the ups and downs, specifically maybe now to business? I mean, when you bought the real estate company from nothing and have grown it, and I'm sure you went through all kinds of ups and downs during that.
Gotcha.
And before that, when you're in Chicago on the floor and muscling people around on the stock trading floor,
I was never a bully. I'm a nice bully. I'm a bully's bully.
That's true. But so what is it that's kept you grounded in authenticity to Mike Shapiro through the years in the building?
I think that it was my parenting. I always lead it back to my father, who celebrated everything I failed at. And so I think I find that is probably the most grounding aspect. Laughing at your mistakes and constantly laughing at others, laughing with them at other people's mistakes, and how do you fix it. So I think that it's just parenting about accepting people, not being judgmental, having everybody in your life. Like I said, these are guidance for me. Like, taking every call, taking every meeting. Everyone has value, and everyone has something to say. And I think that having experienced lots of failures and lots of great successes, so it's like, I think it's just sharing that. I think it's just been a positive experience. But I would lead it back to having this parent who was a mentor, who like literally was able to raise me in a way that made me very so overused real. But I think that's what was celebrated in our household, like just being yourself. Remember my dad came from terrible poverty, and it was horrible, highly conditional love, and every conceivable element to. And he's long gone now, and so are his parents. Every single element that you don't want to be as, being raised. And I think he wanted to break that, and so he looked at every conceivable way to break that image and to raise his children that way. So that's what it is. I mean, I can remember as early on, like having, Thanksgivings, and Thanksgiving was Thanksgiving, where we would bring in people that didn't have any place to go, or, he'd meet somebody. I mean, this is, we're going back 40 years, 45 years. People would be homeless. I remember one time at a Thanksgiving, and, there was somebody like living on the street in their car, and he's like, you have no place to eat? They just brought him into the house. And so, I mean, but those were joyous occasions, and there were occasions where it was what was the meaning of this holiday. Right. And so I think that's really where it comes from. So I got a question for you, all right?
Shoot.
Process. And how have you? Can you give me some examples of obviously not saying names or because your practice is private. So what have you seen and how it's worked, and what is that process?
Oh, who to choose? There's okay. I'll give a couple examples.
Okay.
There's a girl who works for me now, and she's one of the coaches on my team. And when I met her, I've known her for years, just college and whatnot. But she came to a retreat, kind of had to find me and Facebooked and found me and stuff. And she just knew she wanted something different. And our retreat company is called CRAVE. It stands for Community, Reverence, Awareness, Vulnerability, and Empowerment.
I like that brand. Great brand.
Thank you.
I didn't know that. How did I not know that? Did you change the name?
It's been CRAVE for a long time.
Oh, great.
Yeah. But it's, our tagline is Nourish Your Purpose. And
great.
So she ended up coming to Costa Rica. And at the time, she's working at some big corporation. And this like more and more tax and just burning out. And I only got to find this out during the course of the retreat, and we do all kinds of fun activities. I said that it was almost like we've evolved it since, because there was in Costa Rica, I think we had like 32 different learning modules. It was intense. I'm like, you need a certificate after this. Like, you should get a lowered insurance rate or something after going through this or something.
So you were actually at 32 different modalities you were doing while you were on the retreat?
Right. So that was the idea we had
Wow.
between me, and I had like 3 other coaches. I said, well, we all have gifts. Bring them. I wanted to be the smorgasbord. And so before you come to the retreat, you'd have to do this work on the life blueprint. So you would have this lens from which to look. So you know that I don't want you to just find what feels good right now. Like, oh, that yoga was cool, I'm going to start doing that. No, 3 parts. You go to your life blueprint, and you have this lens from which you're viewing and discovering at the retreat. At the retreat, you're going through the modules and learning and communing and seeing what calls to your mission. Not to you in the moment of like, how can I bring more of my mission of who I'm really meant to be, my true self out in the world. And then phase 3 as post-retreat, and we do follow-up coaching. So we actually work to integrate that, to bring more of your mission to life. And the girl she went through the retreat and felt forever changed and discovered all this cool stuff about herself. Ends up quitting her job, quitting her fiance,
there you go.
buying a motorhome, and starts just traveling and finding herself. And some might say, well, that's terrible. She quit her job, but she was so happy. If we're only trying to measure success and money, what was the point of this journey called life? I come back to that 100-year vacation often. This is 100 if you're lucky, right? So from there now, she went on to do all kinds of fun stuff and yoga and Reiki certified and stuff. And now she's actually a coach on my team. She's our success coach. So she gives all of our active clients personal messages every Monday, holds them accountable, and works with them throughout the week, making sure that they got the things done that they said they're going to do. So complete 180 from what she was doing before, and she just got married, just
That's
super
awesome.
stoked.
That's
Yeah.
great.
So that's a process. That's the retreat space, though. But we take that kind of container and bring it into the coaching. I think of a client who she just wouldn't want. Do you even want to hear about this? I remember her asking me verbatim. She's really into this bead work. She does all this called seed bead weaving, and I didn't even know what it was at the time. But every time she talked about it on a session, she lit up. She would just get so excited about
All right,
this.
so she loves it.
She loves it, but she hired me for holistic fitness, and so she asked, "Do you even want to hear about this?" And I said, "Name." You get more excited and lit up when you talk about we could talk only about the beads if you want to.
Right.
And it was something in that conversation that shifted her. She now sells her bead work for like $3,000. Like for one piece of beadwork, she'll sell it. And she moved to Hawaii and the same
awesome.
area the same island. So I get to see her sometimes too and whatnot. But
So
just
that's
life
amazing,
shifts.
Rocky. So, like, your ability to listen, your ability to channel those energies is unprecedented. I mean, to get people to the happy place. So you listen to what the issue is, you try to guide them, but they're really guiding themselves,
Right.
and you give them the freedom. You open the gate,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. One of my most used quotes is a Ram Dass line. It says, "We're all just walking each other home."
Okay, that's
And
great.
the same way you had your dad, I think that's probably definitely one of the values that binds us. I reference my own dad often as someone who helped shape me in a very value-driven way early on. You know.
That's awesome. And I love your brother's names, by the way. That was great. What are
Yeah.
your brother's names? I don't mean to go on a side note.
Rico, Rocky, and Blaze.
There you go. I
Yeah.
like it.
And now they have two each, so they have Remington and Maverick and
that's
Casey
great.
and Landon. Yeah, but
So you got to create a family.
family's family over everything. But to me, we didn't all have that. I remember a piece of content I did that got a lot of likes on it because. Every night going to bed, me and my brothers, we all shared the same room. And my dad would look at each of us and say, "You guys, friends, even best friends, will come and go. But these are your best friends.
Aw.
You guys are brothers, And
Sweet.
I remember thinking, like, well, what about the people who didn't have that conversation? They never got to hear that. They didn't have those best friends or know what that even meant. So to me, everything that I do is to try to create wider circles and to at least have some form of like brokerage to getting some of that real juice.
Sure.
So
Being real, having real connections, having real friendships, having real family, having real conversations with yourself. What do you really want to do? Where are you? You're not happy. Why you're not happy? Whether it be beadwork, whether it be traveling
Right.
in a motorhome,
Heck
whether
yeah.
it be living in a little house in Hilo, whatever it is, you give permission, guidance, and capability for people to follow their dreams and to get to that great spot,
100%.
which is an amazing mission,
Thanks,
an
man.
amazing community, amazing sense of community, and you're a great human being.
I
We
appreciate
need
it.
more Rockies.
No,
Lots more Rockies.
I appreciate it, man. Well, we're slowly trying to, bring more, not of Rockies, but of other people who are mission driven out in the
Sure.
world, building businesses, building lives that are worth living and worth running. So, Mike, I got a question for you. I work with a lot of other up and coming early entrepreneurs and coaches now, and get to infuse a lot of what we've been talking about into them, into their branding. And, over a long enough time horizon, you'll succeed, right? Like if you keep going, you will. So let's make sure that you can keep going and not just date your business, but marry your business, right?
Sure.
What's a piece of advice that you'd give to someone who's just starting out, who's just in their early phases of building this thing, knowing that it's maybe going to be some ups and downs?
Well, your space, I mean, and this is from a person that obviously doesn't practice in your space. I deliver different types of coaching, although I actually really appreciate what you do. And I think it's actually an important part of health and well-being, this integrated health. I really believe in what you're saying. But your space is always critical the mission critical piece is listening skills. And being empathetic and understanding and having the cognitive capability of what are they saying to me and translating that. So like in a lot of ways, like your gift is your incredible capability of listening to people and then deciphering that and giving them permission to move on to whatever they want to do. So I would say teach them that. How do you teach them that skill set rather than these are the structures, this is what I do. These are all the things I do to help people. But ultimately, your gift is that ability to listen and to, move directionally. What are they saying to me? So teach that. Come up with you're a person who's highly organized, so figure that out. Figure how do I teach the listening skills? And listening is different for everybody, right? People listen in different ways, but your specific lane, if lack of a description, and I'm constructing something already when I'm supposed to construct anything, is that skill set. So there's probably like lesson plans to do that, or having practice sessions like, I'm going to say the following things. What did you learn from that? Or having like sessions where two people are talking in your classes or your group sessions, and then having honest opinions. What did they say? What did that mean? And see if they were to be honest. And like, yeah, that's interesting. Maybe they can learn that way.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's innate for you. It's always probably been innate. You probably have always been that way. You probably, since you were a little kid, you probably were a listener, and you probably could figure it out. I'm guessing. It was a gift.
The middle child, I don't know.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So, maybe those are the things that you can pass. How do you do that? Mm-hmm. And can it be learned? I think it can, but I don't know. You're in that space.
Thank you. Yeah, and that struck a chord for me for sure, because it's I know even I have gotten a little caught up in the business lately and kind of not lost sight, but it's always a mission to remain authentic to who I am, even as we're building and doing something. And now as I'm involved in other people's businesses, it's like getting to really know them on a level like me, to be able to pass on that advice. So I think absolutely, like we've implemented now kind of some mindset coaching into our business work as well, because it's like, how do we remain sustainable? And it's like, build a better product.
Sure.
Be a better coach. What does that actually mean? How do you do that? So, I appreciate that, and thanks for the mirror again.
So, what makes you happiest? What specific thing is there? Something you can say like, this is like my happy place? Like, what really makes you like, oh man, this is the best?
I love seeing the people I love succeed.
That's great.
And, to be frank, I love myself too. So I love to succeed.
That's awesome. I like that.
I'm not going to exclude myself in that. So I continue to do a lot of work on my own shadow of competition. Mm-hmm. And I'm a very competitive person, but I recognize the times when competition moved out of the co-pilot seat and into the driver's seat. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you can relate to some degree of like, we have like to build a business or build anything worth lasting. You have to compete. You have to show up each day and give it your best.
Sure, of course.
So I want to win. Mm-hmm. I want to win. But to me, like, we all want to win, so I surround myself with the people who want to build each other up and build themselves up. That's why it's, so much of my mission is to be an infinite flow of light, guiding people with a medicine of self-love. Mm-hmm. Like, if we're not starting with ourselves first, then nothing's really going to last. So when I get to see my community, the people around me that I've chosen, succeed,
that's a great line. If you don't love yourself, who can love you?
Right.
That's impossible. So, or as my mom said, which is the greatest line she ever said to me, is if you don't toot your own horn, no one else will.
Yeah,
so there you go. It's sort of an alternate aspect to that.
I love it. Yeah, I'll take that one. Put that Micism in my pocket.
You're right. There you go.
Yeah. Actually, it's not a Micism technically. If your
that's
mom
not. That's Rochelleism. Yeah.
That's okay. Rochelleism. Shapiroism.
I'm going to adopt that.
Yeah, take that. Yeah, good.
That's good.
Yeah.
So what's next for Rocky? Where are you going? You're building this business, you're building community, you're building this element of, finding your inner truth. You're building this process of, happiness is about holistic, integrative health in your practice. So what's next? Where are you going? Where are you going with all this?
To the sky.
There you go. I love it. All right.
Yeah, one person, one business at a time, and again, like I said, like the business might be the business of life, and that's cool. But whether I'm working with somebody on the business side or on the life coaching and holistic fitness side, we're all heading the same way, and we're all just walking each other home. So
That's
to
true.
me, if we can continue to build bridges and make that community wider. I'm giving you kind of an ambiguous answer, I guess.
No,
but,
not really.
but
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, like it will just keep growing, and
I love it. So people are listening to this are going to want to know how to get in touch with you, and they want to know how do they use your services and get to an enlightened state of being, a much happier state of being, and how do they find you? Where are we finding Rocky?
Instagram is the best place. At Rocky.Russo1 is my personal, and you can find all of the business entities there as well. But yeah, just get started with anything. As above, so below. If you're currently building a business, come talk to us at Health CEO Academy. If you're not there yet and you just want to figure out, like, how do I make life worth meaningful and get out of bed with a purpose and for a purpose, then talk to us at our Whole Fitness and start to build out something that you can stand behind and really be proud of.
Do you have a website as well?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. mywholefitness.com.
Okay.
Or healthceoacademy.com. And I think that's all right now.
Okay.
Well, Crave Retreats as well.
Okay.
Yeah, craveretreat.com as well. We don't have anything.
Yeah, I was going to say everything in the books right now.
Nothing right now. The other businesses have taken a lot of my energy, so I'm trying to remain focused on. But a lot of it, we had one in November was our last one. And it's just become so easy and easy,
Where'd you go in the last one?
Back to Hawaii. I mean, it's
course.
easy for me. I just pop over.
Right.
Or go
Everyone
to
loves
Gulf
Hawaii.
Street. Yeah. But no, it's always special. And so yeah, no, come join the tribe and get involved.
Well, it's a real pleasure to have you on the show, Rocky. I mean, you've been an inspirational character in my life. I think the world of you. I think that you are put on this planet to help everyone. It's a really positive capability, and like I've said earlier, that we need a lot more Rockies in this world, and we'd all be a lot happier. So thank you so much for sharing on this show. Thank you so much for sharing your vision and your thoughts, and obviously you'll are successful and continue to be even more successful.
Thank you, Mike. I
My
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Yeah. Thanks for making all of this, for Read the Tape, and for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
You've been a huge impact on my life.
I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Well, that was a great show. All of you probably enjoyed that. It's great to listen to somebody who really listens to everybody. So what did I learn from that? Listening skills. Rocky has an incredible intuitive capability. And like we said during the podcast, an inner truth. I want to adopt this into my own practice of helping people in coaching and mentoring. I think all of you have obviously have enjoyed what he has to say. And hopefully you adopt his practices, because I think it'll make you a much happier person, more fulfilled, and self-actualized. So Rocky is great, and you will see that as well. Please, you can see this on every single platform. Read the Tape. You can see it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and as I say all the time, even on platforms that haven't been invented yet. Also, you can direct message me at the Shapiro Method, or I always say, because it sounds like old, you can DM me so I can adopt the acronym correct for this. So looking forward to you enjoying the next show and all the shows coming forward.